Welcome back to East Coast DNA. I'm your host, Darcy Walsh. Today's guest, I've been doing this a couple times this year. Besides the fact that genres seem to be very questionable these days because everybody's blending everything, also saying where somebody's from seems to be a little bit of an issue, specifically on the East Coast. If you try to nail it down too much more, sometimes it gets a little complicated. So we have Kendra Lyttle. Welcome, Kendra.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. Now, you are from Nova Scotia, or you were born in Nova Scotia, and you're in PEI, but you were
Funny story.
all over the place.
Yeah, so I was born in Nova Scotia,
Hmm.
and then I moved when I was like a toddler to New Brunswick. But then I moved back to Nova Scotia. Then I moved to Alberta,
Hmm.
and then I moved back to Nova Scotia in like 2020. And then I'm currently in PEI.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna change your history. We're gonna retcon it for anybody. The comic fans use that a lot. So we're gonna go back and change Alberta to Newfoundland and make you the ultimate East Coast musician.
Yeah, that's the only one left, I think.
Yeah, well, we definitely got to get you there at some point.
Yeah.
So for your journey, I know that as far as the musical side, started around the age of 7. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your first exposure and kind of the calling into music that was highlighted at the age of 7?
So, when I was 7, there was a talent show happening at my school at the time, and my mom thought me and my sister should audition, and she wanted us to sing Tomorrow from the musical Annie.
Yes.
And yeah, it was quite the like to this day, it's the most extensive audition process I've done for anything because I had to go through 3 rounds of auditions.
Wow.
Yeah, we auditioned for it was, if I recall correctly, it was our classes and then like a committee of judges, and I think there was a third round. And then, and then we were like in the talent show. Um, yeah, I've done many auditions since then, and I think that's the most rounds of auditions I've done for anything. And it was an elementary school talent show. So yeah, that was my first time singing. And I think that was around the age when I decided for the first time I wanted to be a singer. But in all honesty, I don't remember the exact moment because it was just so long ago.
Hmm. And now that would have, I guess, been between New Brunswick, Nova Scotia years.
That would have been, I was living in Alberta at that
Oh,
time.
you were? Okay. Even at that age.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Or in our
So,
new history, Newfoundland, I guess.
yes, yes, exactly. So, when you came back to the East Coast from there,
Yeah.
uh, where did you land originally when you came back to the East Coast?
So when I came back to the East Coast, I was in Truro, Nova Scotia.
Okay, so just not too far from we're based in Pictou County here, despite the fact that I'm all over the place.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you're from the live music capital of Nova Scotia.
Yes, yeah, they
Yes,
recently declared that. Yeah,
certified. Yeah.
yeah.
So that must have been interesting after being around everywhere else. But did you find that, despite the fact that I pointed out the live music capital designation, uh, that does have quite the music scene, like that area.
Mhm.
So it's really diverse. Like I didn't realize even being so close how diverse that area is for different types of music. And all the musicians kind of somewhat know each other somehow. Like it still has that small town feel,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of variety. So, did you continue with music throughout that period? Like, what at that period were you doing?
Yeah, so throughout my childhood, a lot of my musical involvement was pretty much like my school scene. I was
Yeah.
in choir for like 9 years, a lot of different choirs, but like I just stayed consistent with that. I always did like school talent shows. And then when I got to high school, um, well, I guess at this point I would have been about like 16.
Hmm.
I started taking voice lessons and I started getting involved with like musical theater. And then I started doing like some of like the odd kind of like shows around town in Truro, probably when I was in like grade 12, like
Hmm.
17. Um, yeah, yeah. So I've experienced like a little bit of the live music scene in Truro.
I do find it interesting that, especially where you pointed out your age for that time frame,
Yeah.
because I know that in that time frame, and I admit that I'm guilty of not fully being aware of all that Truro had to offer at the time,
Mhm.
but I was digging into some of the bands from Truro, but at the same time talking about how there wasn't enough all ages shows and opportunities for
Mhm.
young musicians. And then I
Yeah.
started noticing that there was a growing number from the Truro area, and a few have been featured on the show over the last 2 years. And I
Mhm.
know that a few that would be in your age range, so probably people that you knew, um, have definitely been on the show. Specifically this year, I've had a few.
Yeah.
So, what was the reasoning? Because that was only a couple years ago for you.
Mhm.
So, what was the reasoning for your transition over to Prince Edward Island? Because I know a lot of people gravitate towards Halifax for the music scene and the music
Mhm.
programs at school now. But I also know, as anyone that watched the Music PEI week coverage that I had, which on the coverage side actually ended up being about 2 months, not a week. So definitely a lot of the music scene there either owes a lot to or came from or collaborates with Holland College. So yeah, is that what brought you over there?
Yeah, yeah. So that's exactly why I came to PEI. In 2023, I started at Holland College, the School Performing Arts music program, and I just graduated in May.
Congratulations.
Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's what brought me to PEI, and I feel like in this past year or even just like few months, I've gotten like pretty comfortable with the music scene around here.
Amazing. So you're staying put then, because if you've graduated and you're there now,
Well, actually, I'm moving again in the fall because I'm continuing my degree in Toronto.
oh wow. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
you're going for the full CanCon award.
I
Amazing.
guess so. Yeah, yeah. I'm just unlocking all the regions of Canada, I
Yep,
guess.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. Imagine your bio in just a couple years time though. If you keep
Oh,
moving like
yeah.
that, it'll be quite
I
interesting.
yeah.
So now if you have plans like that, and we for the people watching at home, you have a debut single out that we're definitely going to be getting into. So
Yeah.
stick around for a little musical number at the end too. But while we continue that journey, we've jumped right into the future already. So I want to kind of pull at that thread for a little bit before we leave it. You have plans to go to Toronto and continue
Mhm.
with music. So outside of schooling, is there any particular, maybe you don't have fully fledged plans that you could even share? I know a lot of people that have stuff under development.
Mhm.
It's a little premature to announce some things, but do you have goals for the end of 2025 going into 2026 as far as outside of the education aspect for your music?
Hmm. I would love to, in some way, be hopefully developing or planning like my next release.
Hmm.
Because obviously I'd love to continue with releasing. It's just a matter of when I have something written that I feel like is worth sharing. And then it's just a matter of like recording it and all that stuff. I would love to have that at least in development or like planned by the end of
Hmm.
2025.
Well, I definitely want people to keep up with you and make sure that they
Yeah.
know what's happening on that front. So let's talk a little bit about that debut single. Might as well
Yeah, for
get into
sure.
that now. So it was something that you reached out to me with, and then by the time we got around to actually doing something with it, I realized like, oh, it's like just around the corner release. So we
Yeah.
arranged this call so we could have a little chat about it. So it was just recently
Mhm.
released as of the recording. I'm not 100% sure when people are watching this at home, so that was June 20th.
Yeah, that was when it was released. Yeah.
Yeah. So the song Angel Tunes, what can you tell us about this?
Like the story behind the
Yeah.
song. So I wrote the song, like I started writing the song about a year ago. And one thing about me is generally like I will just have random moments where I'm just like, oh, I have a verse idea, I have a chorus idea. And generally I will kind of like churn out a verse and a chorus, and then I might kind of step away from it for a bit and then I'll return to it and then I'll like kind of gradually add on to the song. Um, so I would say I had like a first like full like draft of the song probably by the end of like April 2024. Um, and then in I just kept sitting on this idea, and I was sitting on various ways I could kind of transform this draft into like a real song.
Hmm.
And in 2025, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna record this. And I totally like reworked the idea around the melody and everything. Yeah, I would say like I had multiple different ideas of how I wanted the song to sound before I finally like settled on one. But I wrote the song about a year ago. I was just like I was just in a state mentally where I was constantly like comparing myself to other people. And I feel like I was literally just doing a really mundane task, like washing my face or something, when I just the stanza came to my mind of like, she's got a voice like an angel, I've got a voice like a flute, pretty but maybe not quite enough when you're singing angel tunes. And that song was literally a like that part of the verse was quite literally about feeling insecure about my voice, but I was like, this could also be a really cool metaphor for just like insecurity as a whole. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I need to like do something. I need to like write it down, like get some chords going. Like so yeah, so that was at least the story of like the origins of the song.
So where does the music come from to flesh out the rest of the song? Because we've talked about your singing experience.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, what was the step going from having these wonderful lyrics and being able to sing to having a full song ready to release? What were the steps in between?
So, I think it was like in January of this year where I sat down with my guitar and I was like, let's finalize like the melody and stuff for this song. Because originally I had a different idea of how I wanted it to sound. And I was like, I didn't like that idea, so I abandoned it and I tried something new. And then I started slowly kind of like sh sharing it with people. And then eventually I got in touch with my producer, David Rashed, and like I showed him the song. We just kind of talked about the ideas for it. Um, and we put together a band, a studio band. I just asked some of my classmates from school that I knew like either had session experience or like were looking for session experience. Yeah, so there's Yvonne Garnica on guitar, Chris Chisholm on bass, and Jesse McCormick on drums. And we just had a couple rehearsals, the three of us, just to kind of jam through the song and so I could just explain my vision for what I wanted. And yeah, that was pretty much like how we got like the bones of the song. And then the backup vocals, I just kind of sat on my like little keyboard in my dorm room and I was like, okay, what do I want for backup vocals? And then yeah, we recorded the vocals with the band. We did a bunch of like live off the floor takes and then
Hmm.
just sort of put together like a Frankenstein take of like which were the best ones and overdubbed some of the vocals and then we added some like synth parts. You'll hear like there's like a violin and there's like even just like some synth in the bridge section as well to just add more like I guess meat to the bones because
Sure.
I really wanted there to be like a build up. I wanted the bridge to be like the climax of the song and then it kind of yeah after that. So yeah, that
And
was I guess how it came from like just me and a guitar to like a full band thing.
so where did the connection to David come from? Was it like you just knew he was available to reach out to him, or like because
Um,
he's an established person in the industry himself.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
I was just looking for a producer in the area, and I was genuinely just doing research, like looking up like producers near me, and I found his website, so I just sent a little email to him, and then he got back to me, and that was like, yeah, that's how the connection started.
So you must have had this conversation with him, I'm assuming
Mhm.
that you had, or I wouldn't ask you this on air. Uh, so were you familiar with him as a musician by the time you reached out to him?
Um, Honestly, I kind of just found him through looking for
Yeah,
producers. And also because his name had come up when I had been speaking to like other producers that were like, oh, like this person would be really good to go to. So I was like, okay, now I've found him and I've heard referrals of him. So this is probably a good person to work with.
there you go. You're definitely gonna have to spend some time with the his own discography, maybe pop out a cover or something at some point. That would be cool.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
So you're going to be taking off to the Toronto area in the fall, but there's a
Yeah.
whole season that I keep promoting. The East Coast season for patio season is
Hmm.
basically festival season. You can't go anywhere without hearing music outside. Every venue has a little stage somewhere sitting outside in every little small town. And there's so many music festivals in all the different communities that like we know the big names that are out there, which are just fabulous. We've been spoiled rotten this year, but every small town and every nook and cranny has its own hometown festival as well. And it seems like every year there's more popping up. So with all those things and all the tourism opportunities in Prince Edward Island, do you have shows lined up for the summer?
Um, so the program I just graduated from, SOPA
Hmm.
at Holland College, we've had some years where Cavendish Beach Music Festival will reach out to the program and ask for them to put together a band to perform on the emerging artist stage.
Hmm.
So I'm a part of that band. We'll be playing on the Friday of the like CBMF weekend.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think that's like that's probably the biggest gig I have like lined up for the summer, I would say. Yeah.
So now, out of curiosity, I know that I know a few musicians from PEI now, and what I didn't realize so much at first when I began interviewing musicians, which, geez, almost 5 years ago. So
Mhm.
what I didn't realize at the time is how diverse people have to be in order to keep playing. So I've seen people playing on the boardwalk and playing on the ferry that are established artists, keeping their name out there or doing some other promotional thing, networking, or even making a buck. So, do you have potential appearances where people may notice your face popping up throughout the summer then?
That's the main one I can think of off the top of my
Yeah,
head. But yeah, I'm definitely looking for more opportunities to perform. I've had a few shows this summer so far, but the I think right now the big one is gonna be CBMF, which is
amazing.
cool
Yeah.
because it'll be my first time doing a music festival, obviously.
Yeah, and that's coming up really soon, especially since people
Yeah.
aren't watching this as of the recording. So by the time people watch this, it either just happened if you were late watching it, but if you're watching this new,
Yeah.
it's right around the corner. Go get your tickets. So you said you'll be playing on the Friday.
Yes.
Now, if people are interested in hearing more, you have a band that's specifically coming up through that. But is that somebody that you have available to you to perform in the future? Is that something that people can follow online, or should they look for Kendra Lyttle specifically?
Yeah, I mean that band is kind of just for that show.
Hmm.
So for any like future performances, if people like want to follow along, they just have to follow, yeah, like Kendra Little on socials, and then I post a lot whenever I have like a show coming up. So
Sure.
yeah,
And now, what is the name of that band? Just so I can make a note for myself, because I have plans to be there on site as well.
it's SOPA All-Stars.
Okay, I will look for that in my schedule there. I just made a note.
Yeah.
So, if people follow you online, they're going to immediately find this new single.
Yeah.
So if people want to listen to more of it, where can they find it? Is it available on all streaming services?
Yeah, it's on all streaming services. I feel like every person I talk to is like, is it on Apple? Is it on? It's like it's on everywhere.
Yeah.
So wherever you listen to music, it'll be there.
And for YouTube, you have like you have a presence on YouTube, you have a presence on TikTok. So those both lead me to think video. So should people expect to find more video content in the near future?
Yeah, I definitely would love to get a bit more active on YouTube. Currently, I've kind of been putting my focus a lot on TikTok and on Instagram as well. I've definitely made a lot of videos with the song on TikTok, and that'll probably extend over to Instagram as well. And hopefully YouTube too. I need to get more active on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, this show is primarily on there, but I know that the efforts to keep YouTube going have made me kind of shy away from other platforms as well. So I have a similar issue where it would be nice to be everywhere all at once when you kind of have a vision of what you'd
Yeah.
like to communicate. But as a solo person, it can be difficult. We need a little bit of collaboration up there to keep some of those extra things going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially with how big TikTok has gotten. A lot of the focus has been shifting from YouTube to TikTok, like over the past few years, I've noticed.
Hmm. And now you did mention that you're open to work as far as a musician. So if anyone listening to this is somebody that actually does bookings and maybe has a potential gig for you, we mentioned that you're on all the socials there as your name, but Little
Mhm.
is actually with a Y. So
Yes. Yeah.
what's the best way for someone that might potentially want you to come perform somewhere? Email address or your full Instagram handle, maybe?
Yeah. So my full Instagram handle is Kendra Lyttle with a Y instead of an I, and there's an underscore on the end of it. And I also have my email like linked on my Instagram.
Perfect.
So yeah, both of
Amazing.
those are easy ways to contact me.
Great. Definitely want to thank you again for reaching out. And where this is just your debut single, I know that you have plans to follow up at some point in the next year, as we talked about
Yeah.
earlier. But definitely keep in touch. You know how to get a hold of us. And like I said, I already got the foundation level details from you. So let's keep in touch as you continue on this musical journey. I definitely am not going to shy away talking to you when you move to Toronto. You'll have to report back to us on all the cool things you found up there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks again. And for all those people watching along at home, stick around for a few more minutes and we'll give you a taste of Angel Tunes. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
She's got a voice like an angel. I've got a voice like a flute. Pretty but maybe not quite enough when you're singing angel tunes. I tell you the things about my body that I believe aren't good enough. You tell me, oh baby, that's not true. And then I tell myself it's bluff. But maybe I just wanna feel good enough. Maybe I just wanna feel good enough. But I can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. I make up a story and I can't turn it off. Maybe I just wanna feel good enough. Whoa. I compare when I shouldn't, that's my vice. If she's perfect, it's something I can't be. And I know this jealousy ain't right, but why does it come was so easy. And I tell you the things about me that girls you know have better. You tell me perfection's just what you see. Your rosy vision makes us good together. But maybe I just wanna be good enough. Maybe I just wanna be good enough. Whoa, I can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. I make up a story and I can't turn it off. Maybe I just wanna be good enough. A fucked up little part of me is just so afraid you'll prefer an angel's tunes. A fucked up little part of me is just so ashamed to think they'll prefer angel tunes.